Alrighty. Chapter 1 review. This packet is designed for you to go through all of these problems. How many do we have? Around 20, give or take. And at the very end, answers. So let's just get started. Nothing to it but to do it, right, kids? First problem. I'm going to rewrite it. 3/7 x plus 5 equals 8. We got to get x all by itself. The way we do that is we get rid of the guy in front of x and the guy that's floating around. Always get rid of the one that's floating around first by doing the opposite. So you subtract 5 from both sides. Leaves you with 3/7 x equals 3. Now we have a 3/7 multiplied to x. I don't like multiplying a fraction. I don't like dividing a fraction. Instead, I'd rather multiply both sides by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 3 over 7 is 7 over 3. 7 over 3. Cross you out. And when I do that, if I take 7/3 and multiply it by 3, I just get a straight old 7. And that guy is A. Problem 2 is very similar, so I'm going to write that out right here. 5p over 7, the whole thing's over 7, minus 18 equals negative 43. Always get rid of the guy that's floating around first. You do the opposite of minus 18 by adding 18 to both sides. Cross you out. I drop down the 5p all over 7. Negative 43 plus 18 is negative 25. Multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 5 over 7, which is 7 over 5. And p is going to come down. Negative 25 times 7 over 5 is negative 35, which is D. Dizzle. All right, problem 3, I'm going to write down here. Okay, this is problem 3. 5x minus 5 equals 3x minus 9. I have an x on both sides of the equal sign, so you pick one to get rid of. I usually always subtract the one that's smallest, so I'm going to minus 3x, cross that out. 5x minus 3x. You have 5 x's, take away 3 x's, you're left with 2 x's. Drop down the minus 5 equals negative 9. Get rid of the guy that's floating around first by doing the opposite. Add 5, cross you out. 2x equals negative 4. Divide both sides by 2 by doing the opposite. Negative 4 divided by positive 2 is negative 2. So the answer to 3 is A, negative 2. All right. I'm going to see if I could squeeze 4 into here. It seems like I shouldn't have to really rewrite a whole lot. On the left side, I have 8D, and I'm taking away 4D, which means I now have 4D. 8D dandelions. 8 dandelions. Right next to it is saying take away 4 dandelions. And you know what? Let's take away 6 more. Makes a nonsensical negative 2D problem. Minus 8 is still on that side, and you have 2D. What I said in the problem above is when you see a variable on both sides of the equal sign, get rid of the smallest one first. Negative 2D is smaller than 2D. So if I want to get rid of the negative 2D, I do the opposite by adding 2D. 2D fruity, forget it. Negative 8 drops down. If I have 2Ds and I add 2 more Ds, I have 4Ds. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. I barely have enough room. Cross that out. Negative 2. All right. Identity. Identity is another word for infinite solutions. So in order for something to have infinite solutions, the left side and the right side have to be exactly the same. Now I'm going to look at these, and I'm going to see if I can cleverly pick one that looks like the left side and the right side are exactly the same. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not U. Because although I have 8y on the left and 8y on the right, I'm left with positive 9 on the left and negative 3 on the right, and there's nothing I can do. That one's done. I can also get rid of C, and before I cross it out, let me explain why. I have 7m on the left. I have 8m minus m on the right, which also becomes 7m. So all the m's go away. However, when all the m's go away, I'm still left with a -2 equaling a 4. Those don't match up, so D, or C rather, is out of the question also. So let's give A a shot and see if I can make A. Now I circled it as if I knew that would be the answer. Let's give it a shot and see why that might be the right one. I have a negative living outside in front of the parentheses. Distribute the negative. So I'm going to drop down 11. Negative times negative, or 2v is going to be -2v. Negative times +3 is -3. Equals -2v, promise, minus 8. Now on the left side, I have an 11, blah, 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 next to a -3. 11 minus 3 is 8. 8 minus 2v equals -2v minus 8. Now before you're like, that's it, that's the one, that's an 8. That's a -8. They're not the same, which means it can't be A. So it's got to be B. I think NSYNC said that famously. So let me take B, write out the whole thing. 5, so ignore everything else on the page. 5w plus 8 minus w equals 6w. Now let's kill two birds with one stone. -2 times w is -2w. -2 times -4 is +8. On the left side, I have 5w, +8, -w. These two combine. 5w's minus 1w is 4w. +8 lives there. Equals 6w, -2w. Those automatically combine to make 4w. +8 is hanging out there. They're exactly the same. The answer is B. Boy, oh boy. Speaking of B, boy, oh boy. So what do we have? We have A, D, A, C, B, adakab. All right. Only took 7.5 minutes, but page 1 is done. Page 2, fun fact, I decided to switch writing utensils because apparently that blue pen that I was using likes to bleed through, and I don't like that. And we'll see what happens with this green pen if it does the same thing. I also wrote out the problems ahead of time on the right, so I don't have to scribble so much. We'll see. We'll see if that turns out nicely. 7 plus absolute value of blah, blah, blah equals a number. Absolute value is just a fancy type of parentheses. Always do what's inside the parentheses first. Absolute value turns every number positive. In this case, it's already positive, so nothing happens. Useless absolute value. So useless. I have 3.6 all by itself. So what I'm going to do is subtract 3.6 from both sides, like so. And after I do that, I have 10.4 minus 3.6 gets me 6.8. There you are, 6.8. Good job. On the left side of problem 7, I have two x's right next to each other. Oh boy, sounds like a terrible trip with a current girlfriend because of two x's next to each other. I have -5x. I have 14x. So if I owe somebody $5 and I get $14, and X here would represent dollars, that would be like I owe someone $5, someone gave me $14, -5 plus 14, now I only owe somebody, or now I have $9 extra. These two numbers are just added right next to each other, so 48 plus 24 is, I believe, 72. X is not by itself, 9's being multiplied, do the opposite, divide both sides by 9. There's a bell. X equals 8. X equals 8. Okay? DC. Not as good as Marvel. It's a comic book joke. Problem 8. Distributive property right off the bat. 24 times 2 is 48. 24 times -d is -24 times d, which is -24d. Right next to that -24d is 9d. And all alone on the right side is 198. On the left side, it looks like we can combine the -24d and the 9d, so why don't we do that? I owe someone $24, someone gives me $9, so I give the person I owe $24. I still owe them money, so it's negative. And in this case, I would owe them $15 still. Negative 24 plus 9 is negative 15. You literally just subtract, keep it negative. Okay? Oh boy, I'm afraid I'm going to run out of room, so time to write small. I have a 48 floating around. I have a negative 15 attached to D, so always get rid of the guy that's floating around first. Subtract both sides by 48, not 4. Drop down the negative 15D. 198 minus 48 is 150 on the dot. Perfect. Divide both sides by negative 15. Positive 150 divided by negative 15 should give us negative 10. Sorry for the sloppiness, but I ran out of room. The answer is A. And then last but not least, problem 9. I have an x on the left equals an x on the right. I prefer getting rid of the smaller one first. 5x, negative 7x, negative 7x is smaller. If you're wondering why I get rid of the smaller x first if I have an x on both sides, is if I have a negative x and I add, it's a whole lot easier to deal with because then I'd get a positive number always on the one side and life is just a little bit easier. 5x's plus 7x's is 12x's. 12x equals negative 96. Divide both sides by 12. Divide both sides by positive 12. I believe that gives me negative 8. There you have it, B. D, C, A, B. The answers to this guy. Page 2 is done. Page 3. Fun fact. I'm switching markers again. I think green worked fine, but let's try orange because I like orange. All right. We are doing problem 10. It looks like I'm not necessarily doing it. I'm just describing the way that it should be done. So what I have is I have x on the right side. Let's try this. That didn't work. I have x on the right side. I have a negative 2/3 multiplied to it and a 6 floating around. That's not negative 6. That's a regular 6 because there's nothing in front of it. I don't care what's after it. In front of it, there's an equal sign. That's a 6. So my first step would be to subtract 6, not add 6. Subtract 6. Now, technically, C would work because if I wanted to, I could add negative 6. I hate the way that they word it, but, I can't help what other people do. So if I were to take this problem and subtract 6 and get rid of 6, I'm left with negative 2/3, which means I could either divide negative 2/3 or multiply negative 3/2. Regardless, I have to do something that is multiplying by a negative or dividing by a negative. So in this case, D's out of the question because this has me adding, which wouldn't even make sense. So my only option is to, and it's using the word multiply both sides by its reciprocal. The reciprocal of negative 2/3 is 3/2. So I have to multiply negative 3/2, and this is the guy that is my only option. So although I hate the way it's worded, you can add negative 6 and you must multiply negative 3/2. If you were to multiply negative 2/3, it won't work. I don't like that, but what am I going to do? Sue. I have D equals D minus 9. I have a D on the left and I have a D on the right. Whenever you have a variable on the left side that's exactly the same as the variable on the right side, the variables disappear. Now, the left side completely disappears, completely. And if an entire side completely disappears, I'm left with nothing on that side, 0. On the right side, negative 9 is left over. Does 0 equal negative 9? No. If your variables go away and you are left with something that does not make sense, like 0 equals negative 9, you don't have an answer, which means you have no solutions. Now, this is what always happens. We run into a problem like 12, which I'm going to write out right now. And after we just did the variables disappear type problem, you look at a problem 12 and you see the 8K and the wink, wink, wink 8K, and you think, oh, the 8Ks are going to disappear. But if you look closely, that's 8K. That's not 8K. That's negative 8K. I have an 8K on the left and a negative 8K on the right, which means they don't disappear. I'm going to get rid of the one on the right side because it's smaller. That's what I like to do. I have 16K how much I made last week. Ah, look at my distraction. Minus 3 equals 3. Add 3, add 3. I'm going to move it down here. 16K equals 6K. Divide both sides by 16. Divide by both sides by 16. 3, oh my gosh, I'm a train wreck with this problem. 6 over 16, they're both even, so you can divide both of them by 2, and that would give you 3 over 8. So this guy does have an answer, and it's one answer, and that one answer is 3 over 8. Okay? I know you wanted to say one of these, but it's not. Hello, odometer. Oh boy. The odometer in your mama's car reads 2,056 miles, less than the odometer on your uncle's car. Your mother's odometer reads 22,010 miles. So your mother's car has less, so let's write that out. Your mom's car reads 2,056 miles less than your uncle's car. Now, if you're reading that and you're saying, no, sir, you wrote it out wrong, shouldn't it be 2056 minus you? It won't be, because if you have 2,056 miles less than your uncle, that means you take your uncle and you subtract that number. A trick that sometimes I like to use is if you see the word than, swap the numbers. We're not going to do that here. Plus, if you wrote it out like 2,056 minus u, you're going to get the same number, but it's going to be negative, and it's not going to make sense. Now, your mother's car has 22,010 miles, which means I can replace your mama's car with that number right there. And now what I have to do is solve for you, which is your uncle. Add 2,056, add 2,056. When you do that, 66042240066. About how many miles are in the odometer? I'm looking at the answers here, and 24066 does not match up. But 24066 is about 24100. Definitely not you, definitely not you, definitely not you. 2 weird problems in a row. I like it, though. Made a rhyme. Fun fact, I switched pencils. Again, that's a marker, same thing. Another fun fact, I started writing out the problem and I screwed up. So fun facts everywhere. This is problem 1 on the numeric response. No more multiple choices. I have negative 7k plus 174 equals 14k plus 69. Let's get rid of a k. I have a k on the left and a k on the right, so let's get rid of the smallest one, which is negative 7k. If I add 7k, that negative 7k goes away. Drop down the 174 equals 14k plus 7k. How much I make in a week? Did I say that joke already? I did? Okay. Plus 69. Subtract both sides by 69. 174 minus 69, I'm sure, is 105. That equals 21k. Divide both sides by 21. Divide both sides by 21. 105 divided by 21 is 5. So I'm going to write k equals 5. K equals 5. Now remember, these review packets, the answers are in the back. So if for any reason you're like, I don't know if I did it right, the answers are like right there. But let's quick check. 5, great. I have problem 2 here. 2k, basketball game, minus 22 equals 8 parentheses, k plus 1 close parentheses. Distributive property, do that first. 2k minus 22 equals 8 times k, which is 8k, plus 8 times 1, which is 8. Once again, I have a variable on the left and a variable on the right. Get rid of the smaller one I like to do, so minus 2k, minus 2k. See if I have enough room. Negative 22 equals 8k minus 2k is 6k plus 8. K is not even close to being by itself. I have 8 in the way. I have 6 in the way. Always get rid of the guy that's floating around. Minus 8, minus 8. Negative 22 minus 8 is like saying I have negative $22. I owe somebody $8, so now you owe people $30. You need to be more responsible. Divide both sides by 6. Divide both sides by 6. 30 divided by regular 6 is 5, so negative 30 divided by positive 6 is negative 5. And those of you who took a sneak peek at the answers when I was looking at this one already know that we did it right. All right, equation R equals 10A minus 20 represents the revenue, how much money you make. R in dollars you make by spending A dollars on advertising. The revenue totaled 1010. How much did you spend on advertising? What this means is you're going to take the equation that you have. You know that R is 1010. So I'm going to replace R with 1010 and do the problem. Easy. A is not alone, 10's in the way, negative 20 is floating around. Always get rid of the guy that's floating around first by doing the opposite. Minus 20, opposite is add 20. So if I add 20 over here, I get 130 equals 10A. Divide both sides by 10. Divide both sides by 10. 130 divided by 10 is 13. A equals 13. Now, what does A stand for? I'm not going to just circle A equals 13 because this is a word problem and I want to make sure that my answer sounds right. So you make by spending A dollars on advertising. So A dollars, A is 13. I spent $13 on advertising. Advertising. Good. Look at that. Done. Problem 4. The cost in dollars of making D calculators is represented by C equals 11D plus 42. How many calculators are made when the cost is 273? Same type of problem. I'm going to rewrite the equation. Cost is that, so I'm going to replace C with that equals 11D plus 42. 11's multiplied to D. 42's floating around. Get rid of the guy that's floating around first. 273 minus 42 is 231 equals 11D. Divide both sides by 11. And I'm pretty sure it's 21, but let's bust out the old calculator, the yellow version. 231 divided by 11. What did I say, 21? No. What did I do? 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 What did I do?
Did I make a mistake? Sorry for the pause. No, I didn't make a mistake. Alright, so I had 273 minus 42.
273 minus 42 equals 231. No! You know, I used to be obese, and my grandmom used to say, Nicholas, go with your gut. No, I didn't listen. D here represents calculators, so I'm going to say 21 calculators. All right. Problem 1, solve for y. So both of these are solve for y. So I'm going to write it out and talk at the same time. Here's problem 1, here's problem 2. Solve for y means get y all by itself. Here's the problem with these two problems. Y, you know, is there, but guess what's also there? X. And so I have to assume that X is some arbitrary letter that's just kind of attached to everything. We got to get rid of all this stuff pretending that X is like a party hat, an attachment to 5. So what I have is I have negative 4 multiplied to y. I have a 5x floating around. So I have to get rid of the guy that's floating around. So the way you get rid of a 5x that's floating around is you get rid of 5 and you get rid of x at the same time. That leaves me with negative 4y equals 10 minus 5x. I always like to put the x part first. So I'm going to write out minus 5x, since 10 is positive, plus 10. Y is not all by itself yet. So I have to divide both sides by negative 4, and when I divide everything by negative 4, I literally divide everything by negative 4. Negative 4 over negative 4 crosses out. Y is now alone. Negative 5 over negative 4 is the same thing as positive 5 over positive 4. I like to leave my fractions improper. You will see why when you have to see why. I have positive 10 divided by negative 4. It's going to give me negative. 10 over 4 is the same thing as 5 over 2. Don't believe me, throw it in your calculator. You could say 2.5, but I'm going to write it out as 5 over 2. And that's the answer to 1. Now you're like, that was frustrating. I don't like it. Okay, well this one's friendlier. It doesn't look friendlier, but it's friendlier. Is y all by itself on the left? No, but it almost is. You have a 2/5 x floating around. Now this 2/5 x, the 2/5 might scare people. Don't let it. 2/5 is just a number attached to x. I have to get rid of all of it. Since it's floating around, you just subtract it, get rid of it. So I have negative 2/5 x being subtracted. Y is completely by itself now. Negative 2/5 x comes first. You'll see why when we get there in a few chapters. Add 3, it's positive. Done. That's it. That 2/3 is going to scare people. Don't let it. 2/5 rather is going to scare people. Don't let it. Is that it? Let's just jump right to the next page. Steven wants to buy a $565 bicycle. Steven has no money saved. Oh, Steven. But will be able to deposit $30 into a savings account when he receives his paycheck each Friday. So let's start out with that. He wants to buy something that's $265. Okay, so this is how much it costs over here. This is what he needs to get. Over here, he can add $30 each Friday, so I'll use F for Friday. Okay. However, before Steven can buy the bike, he must give his sister $65, which means, yeah, he will gain $30, but at some point he's going to lose $65. So that's our equation. How many weeks, Fridays, will Steven need to deposit money into a savings account before he can pay back his sister and buy the bike? So here we go. This is our equation. 30F minus 65 equals 565. Add 65 to both sides, add 65 to both sides, cross you out. 30F equals 630. Okay? F is not by itself. 30's in the way. Do the opposite. Divide both sides by 30. And look at that. I think I know the answer to this one. It's 21. What does that mean? 21 weeks. Steven, you could buy yourself a nice bike in 21 weeks. You're not sure if you did it right? I did it right. So that's that. Chapter 1. This video is probably going to be about 30-some minutes long, but that's okay. I mean, you guys waste more time watching your YouTubers. Give me some of that YouTube money. I've earned it. Oh, this is pretty. I should send that to a museum. All right, thank you for watching. Bye.